A Melbourne builder collapses owing $12 million. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays and another installment in our ongoing playlist called Construction Apocalypse, where, well, builders are going under, everyone. And, well, we need to remind ourselves of a few things. We've been talking about this for quite some time, and I feel like I am a broken record, and I will continue to be a broken record about this issue, because we have to remember this is not just some surprise or shocking event that's happened that all these builders are going under. This is because the government intervened in the market. They came to the rescue. One thing that got me really worried when I heard it was the zombie companies that were allowed to be kept alive, trading while insolvent. Now, for me, as an architect, if I do work for someone, I don't get paid. It's frustrating. I lose my time. That's evaporated, but also, the cost for renting my software. I work from home now, so I don't need to worry about it. But back in the day, my premises, or even I've had staff working on jobs. Now I do it myself or occasionally get a contractor. So there's some costs associated with it. But for a subby, if they're going out there and they're paying for the materials, putting it in, expecting to get reimbursed, and it doesn't happen, it can be pretty bad. And some of these builders falling over can knock over an entire group of businesses, and it ripples through the economy. Now, our government loves housing because they use it to stimulate the economy. It's a very effective way to get money flowing out through the people. But, well, when they let companies trade while insolvent, it's going, okay, this one job, you made a little bit of loss, and the next one a little bit of loss, but the next one will be okay. The next one will be okay. But no, it isn't. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And then a company that should have been shut down years ago collapses, owing millions of dollars to people. So we can't forget that, everyone. You've got them juicing up the market. You've got a cash rate that was just incredibly low. We're now at what used to be considered emergency levels. Home builder. Everyone got free money. Yay, free money. We all love free money from the government, don't we? Wow. Yeah, you were all bloody conned. It was a hustle. You all got 15 grand minimum, but you paid more on that on the increase in costs, and they all got it back in GST anyway. You got first home buyer grants. You got foreigners as well getting discounts on all these investments, up to 88 grand in discounts and deals and all of these things. You got 2% and 5% deposit loans backed by the government. The only saving grace is that we only capped it at 10,000. Then the negative gearing and the super withdrawals, it's all just, well, fun and games, guys. And then if we think, okay, but Florian, the housing sector, it's going to collapse. It'll collapse. Everything will come down. These builders are going down. You've got to remember, everyone, hang on, I want to bring this here. These things are, the construction apocalypse is playing into the support levels of housing. You've got, less bad loans, which we talk about here. It's still very low, non-performing loans. We'll have to see if that updates, and is as scary as Finder suspects. I somehow don't think it will be. You've got immigration shooting right back up. That's going to play into demand for property. Okay, don't think it won't. And you've got, the apocalypse that I'm talking about, which is going to impact our ability to meet that demand. But that's not all. You've got, as well as the government support, you've got only 3 places that people really want to live in Australia. As much as everyone says, you don't want to live in a lot of this part. And there's some parts, you can't even get into unless you're the right race. That's our wonderful country that we have here. But then you've got construction code changes, which are driving up the costs of new builds. So you have less builders, so they'll be competing to build these projects, but also you've got legislation changes which are making it more expensive. And then finally, the one that's got me the most, frustrated. The one that shows me that the game is stacked. It really feels like it. APRA, the chair of APRA, will change the rules to ensure banks don't choke off credit. Because APRA is the body that decides what the buffers are for the banks, how much they need to add on to the interest rate calculations to make sure you can make those repayments. So don't worry, guys, about housing. They'll just step in. So all of these things play together, and all of these things need to be considered, because you'll see here in the article they don't mention any of this. So anyway, another one, sadly, to add to the growing list of builders going under. $12 million collapse impacting 62 homes. 401 creditors, 23 staff. Boy. They're unlikely to receive a cent of their lost money from a collapsed building firm unless the liquidator can find a pot of gold buried among the company's limited assets. In January, Melbourne-based residential builder Hulbury Homes went into voluntary administration. The firm owed between 8 and 12 million to hundreds of creditors, including 62 homeowners, with projects at various stages of completion. Last week, at a creditors meeting for Hulbury Homes, which also traded as Whole Build Proprietary Limited, the company was wound up in a liquidation. Appointed liquidator Michael Caspani from insolvency firm Menzies Advisory, who was previously the appointed administrator, said the builder was bleeding money in the months leading up to its demise. In the last 18 months, it appears they've lost between $2 and $3 million. When you're losing money like that, I reckon they were insolvent during the 22 calendar year, probably earlier on. According to a report lodged with ASIC in February 2nd, Hulbury Homes was most likely insolvent for the whole year of 2022. The implosion of Hulbury Homes has left behind 62 devastated customers building residential homes with the construction firm. Of those 62, 42 have already commenced building. A further 20 were in the pipeline to begin construction work. In another devastating twist, 10 of those customers had already paid a 5% deposit to the builder. Well, that's not too bad. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse than just 5%. If you walk away from this and only burn 5%, you're bloody lucky, to be honest. It could be much worse. Only 3 of them had homeowners warranty insurance. That means that the other 7 customers are unsecured creditors. Their losses will not be covered by the state insurer, and the only chance of getting their deposit back will be if a dividend is paid out. But that's incredibly unlikely, according to Mr. Caspanini. My prediction is there's not going to be a dividend, he said. I think there could be recoveries to cover employee entitlements, but unless I find a pot of gold, there's not going to be any for creditors. The ATO is the largest creditor, owed $1.4 million. Well, honestly, I would argue that ATO needs to be put at the bottom of the creditor list. Every other person should receive money before the ATO does. They should be right at the bottom after everyone else, because they're going to get their slice anyway. The biggest trade creditors are owed as much as $300,000. I hope that's true. Let me know in the chat, liquidators and accountants, if that happens, if the ATO is last. That'd make me a little happy. Well, I suspect it's not. One of the homeowners paid a $78,000 deposit, and another has put in a claim for $1 million worth of losses due to the firm's sudden collapse. All 23 staff members at Hulbury Homes were also all sacked on the spot the day they returned from their Christmas break on January 9th. When I first got there, they were all on holidays, Mr. Caspani said. He broke the news to all of them in a staff meeting, but said there were no tears. I think when employees are in a business like that, I'll put it this way, they probably weren't surprised. They've been living with those problems, he added. The turnover was noticeable. Quite a number of them had only started in the last 6 months. Hulbury Homes had 2 directors, one of whom has declared bankruptcy, according to Mr. Caspani. The other director is currently in the process of considering to declare himself bankrupt, he added. The directors reportedly used some of their own money to prop up the company before it collapsed. This is the common story that we hear all the time, guys. You know, I see in the comments idiots say, oh, the rich builders wiping $100 bills and driving cars. Guys, you got no bloody idea about the construction game. Okay, you got no bloody idea. Probably some douchebag, greenie voting civil servant who's never done a day's job in his life and wants to impose all of these rules and restrictions on everyone else and how to wipe their ass so they can feel good and kiss the bloody statue of Greta in their toilet. Okay? Come on. So, the construction industry has been struggling, yep, okay. And they're going to go through all of the builders that have gone bust. And again, supply chain disruptions, I agree. Skilled labor shortages, I agree. Skyrocketing costs, I agree. Extreme weather events, I agree. No mention of overstimulating of the sector because of government intervention and spending. Why not? Why not? It seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? But no, people like their freebies. People don't want to be blamed. The fact that they got all these free handouts. Let's have a talk about this. This all ties into another problem, honestly. We've got the whole issue of housing affordability here in Australia, where people are constantly frustrated with how expensive it is to get into a house. Now, the issue is, I would say, it's complicated. You've got federal, state, and local councils all buggering it up, really, to be honest. You've got a culture of not in my backyard, people not wanting development, yet expecting housing to cost the same when the country's population was a fraction of what it was, and people thinking they can live in the same place they grew up with when their parents bought a place that was pretty much considered the country compared to a city, and there was no services or development there, now. So there's a whole lot of disconnects here. But the issue is, you're always going to get the federal government trying to provide a solution when, well, often it might be best for the government to just step away and let the market handle the situation, let the price signaling dictate what needs to happen. But that's not going to happen because every normie and his dog wants to see their leaders doing something to fix the housing problem. Even if they stuff it up and make more problems, the normies aren't going to realize. How many people aren't going to connect the dots that this sector has been completely overheated because of all of the government handouts and interventions? And do you think Labor's social housing is going to make much difference? Is it going to be the panacea that's going to save us all? No, not in a million years. Anyway, guys, I'm getting a little frustrated with all of this, but we'll have to see how it goes. Unfortunately, well, I hope the tradies get something back, and I really hope the ATO is at the bottom of the creditors list. Just let's. If not, we got to lobby for it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Check out Heise BIM and Heise Does. And if you're a fan and want to support us, you can on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy a pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now.